What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Millennial Nerds show, podcast, whatever you want to call it. Today we're going to be ranking Final Fantasy games that I've played. Majority of that's going to be mainstream series. We're here to celebrate the launch of the Pixel remasters on Switch and PlayStation 4. Exciting stuff. Huge fan of Final Fantasy, as I'm sure most of you clicking on this video are. So let's just get right into it. So I'm gonna be brief as possible because there's a lot of games to cover. We're not covering every single one of these. I'm gonna go into like what I think are terrible, bad, decent, great, incredible, and then masterpiece. Right. So are any of these terrible that I have played? I'm not gonna say that any of them are terrible. I don't think that. I know that maybe, there's some that don't like particular ones. I don't think any of them are absolutely unplayable. Even Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, I don't think is unplayable. I think that there's lessons to be learned in some of them, for sure. But I don't think that. As for bad, let's start into that. So, Crystal Chronicles is bad. It could have been so much more, especially with the re-release of the remaster. Just didn't hit where it was supposed to, and that kind of sucked. Where if and originally when I played this game in 2004 or 5, to play multiplayer you had to hook up the Game Boy Advances with the Game Link cables and use the GBA as a controller. Not a fun experience. Single player action wise, it was cool, but you always had to have like the miasma chalice being carried with you, and there were some great ideas. And when I heard they were doing a remaster, I was excited because I was like, oh, cool, online. No, no online. So yeah, very disappointed in that. Um, I mean, I'm not gonna throw Mystic Quest in bad. That's just a disservice to it. I will throw Final Fantasy 13 in bad. 13 is straight corridor. It's like running down a hallway up until the very end of the game, and it's unfortunate because I think the battle system is really good in that game. I think some of the characters are really good. The music, popping off the charts, man. Like it was really good music. It's just it's boring for a long period of time. Lightning is not a great character. I just don't enjoy Lightning too much when it comes to that. Um, let's see other bad games. I'm gonna throw Final Fantasy 15 in the bad. I've never finished it. I couldn't finish it because I just didn't want to. There was no desire whatsoever. I want that to change someday, but nothing about the story is enticing to me. Nothing about anything that's like revealed is great. I don't know. There's just some things on there that I'm just kind of confused at. It just kind of lost me. And that's a lot with modern Final Fantasies, except for one. But I just really don't. I just didn't feel it, and that's unfortunate because I do think that there is some good stuff there. I do think that there is some decent stuff to learn from or to go from there. I do think that that is. I think that I was really intrigued by the premise of 13 too, or versus 13. I think yeah, and building out that universe, and then when it became 15 and became like this like traveling boy band thing, it was like, not my cup of tea there. Let's see, let's go through here. Um, I will definitely say that throughout most of these, I only played two of the Dissidia games. I did not play Dirge of Cerberus. I did not play Crystal Bear. Or no, I played Crystal Bear for 10 minutes, but I'm not going to count that. I did not. I've not tried any of the Bravely Default games, that Rhythm Tactic, or anything like World of Final Fantasy. Nothing like that. Tactics, yes, we'll get into tactics for sure. Final Fantasy Legend, yes. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, yes. So I have played some of those. So I think now we go into the decent category, and that's where we will head into decent. Let's throw Final Fantasy VIII into decent. None of these are going to be like in order of what they are or anything. Maybe the masterpieces will be. Final Fantasy VIII's a decent game. A really, really oddball story. Great magic system. Very broken magic system, though. To the point where once you get a certain summon in the game, you can kind of bust it open. But I enjoy it. The magic drawing system, they definitely went for it. The GFs, as they're called, the Guardian Forces. A lot of cool stuff there. A lot of great side quests. Triple Triad alone is awesome. That's a great card game. I think seven or 8 and 9 had great card games. That really could, I mean, I know that they're fleshed out on their own in like some mobile form, if I'm not mistaken. At least I know what Triple Triad is. And I know that it's in 14 as well. At least a variation of it, for what I remember. But yeah, 8's a great game. I enjoy 8. Well, not great, but it's a decent game. I've gotten to like the last disc so many times, but I can never finish it at a certain point because the story just doesn't entice me. I think that's where it really falls flat as a story. I'm gonna throw 10-2 in there. 10-2 is decent, bad, but honestly, I think the battle system in 10-2 is really good, and I think the secret endings you can get are really, really good too. I don't think it's a bad game by any means. I think Living in the Shadow of 10 hurts it a lot because I don't know if people expected the exact same thing. You didn't get it, but I think the Dress Fear system is kind of cool. I do think that's a interesting. It actually kind of harkens back to a Final Fantasy III mechanic, in my opinion. I do think that's actually something that's pretty decent when it comes down to it. Moving on to other decent Final Fantasy games. I teeter on this one between bad and decent, but I'm going to put 12 in decent because I do think 12's, and I did this earlier. I had 12 in bad, but when I really sat and thought about it, I do love 12's world. I just don't think its characters are great. It's like a mixture of 8. I think the characters are great. I think the world sucks. I think the world in 12 is really. I love Ivalice. Ivalice in any Final Fantasy game is a win, in my opinion. It's an automatic win. Final Fantasy 3. I'm going to throw into decent as well. It is a fun game to switch around your jobs in, kind of like, like your dress figures and stuff like that in 10-2. But once again, this comes down to it's boring. It does lose a lot of steam, like 33% of the way through. I don't think the story holds up. And to me, at the end of the day, it's just not. And mind you, I played 3 on the DS. So I'm excited to play the Pixel Remaster of 3. And also, I'm going to tell you guys now that that's my plan, is to play through all the Pixel Remasters 1 through 6 in order. Maybe continue on with 7, 8, and 9. I plan to platinum 1 through 6, though, before Final Fantasy 16 comes out. So I'm really excited to embark on that quest. I think that'll be pretty fun. Staying with the decent, I'm going to throw Final Fantasy 5 into decent. And it's nothing... It's only because I've never finished it, and nothing about it has called back to me. Mind you, that was 10 years ago. So it could be something that I go back and replay, and I'm going to redo this list after I played the Pixel Remasters at least. And maybe I fall in love with it. I don't know. It could be. The world's very enchanting. It feels like a Final Fantasy game, which some do, some don't. But yeah, five I definitely feel has a lot of potential to change my mind. And I hear nothing but great things. Some people goat it. But yeah, we're gonna throw Final Fantasy in decent as well. I played Origins and Dawn of Souls. I think Dawn of Souls GBA, Origins was PS1. I played 1 through there. It's a potent, decent RPG. It stands the test of time, but when you hold Final Fantasy to something like the first Legend of Zelda, I don't think it's like on the same level. I think Final Fantasy gets to that level eventually. with its later titles, but I don't think it holds like that same thing with it. Um, Staying with the decent category. Let's see. Let's throw Final Fantasy Mystic Quest in decent. Mystic Quest, I like a lot, and it's not the best game in the world by any means, but there's a lot of things in here that Final Fantasy uses later on. This is like actually you can see the enemies on screen before you attack them. I thought that was really interesting. You can pick this up still for cheap, I believe, on Super Nintendo. Get yourself like an actual SNES copy. They'll never put this game like on a virtual console or anything like that, so that's your best bet. Luckily, it's still cheap enough for you to get it. I remember I got a copy of it. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I got a copy of it, a few years ago. And it's still fun. The music is absolutely hilarious. It's just really hardcore generic rock tracks, but it's got like this weird feeling to it. And honestly, like there's a lot of great things that it tries to do that it doesn't do fantastic, but it does a decent job at it. That's why obviously it goes into the decent category. Let's see. Let's see what we have. So, any of the I'm only gonna rank probably one of the Dissidia games. It's the one I spent the most time with. So we'll probably do that. It looks like this is Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. So it's not terrible. Sorry, I just had to get it up here. I'm going to add it to the decent column. It's a fun game. It's tactics. I love tactics. Absolutely love tactics. You're going to find out how much I love tactics here in a minute. But it's one of those games where I think it really stands in the shadow though of its predecessor. I think there's an interesting story to be had there, but nowhere near the story that gets told in the original Tactics. To the point where I just no matter I think in a situation where those of you that have played Tactics and Tactics Advance probably know what I'm talking about. The mechanics of Tactics Advance are fantastic, and there's a lot you can do here, but there is just something special about the story of Final Fantasy Tactics that I think just doesn't get enough credit for it. And then Tactics, like I said, the advanced version, different story. I don't want to say it just doesn't hold the same amount of value. It's a really good tactical game. It's just giving you the reasons to push through aren't exactly there, in my personal opinion. All right, I think that's it for decent. The next ones will go, and I'm not doing like Zodiac Age. If 12's already on there, it's already in there. Like I said, I was teetering on 12 being terrible, but I don't think I'm gonna do that. Great games. I'm gonna put 2 and 4. And great. Excuse me. The reason being, 2 and 4, I love the stories of 2 and 4. And I think 2, when I said I played Origins and Dawn of Souls and things like that, 2's story was just really good. And its variations of how it did things, its battle system and stuff like that is what a lot of the ones would do later. And I like the artwork of 2. I don't know, that 2 just holds a special place that I think a lot of people, may have skipped out on this one, but I do think the story of 2 is really great. And 4, oh my gosh, 4 has easily one of the best stories in Final Fantasy. Gameplay, battle, I think 4 is, I put it in great. I think 4 is underrated with a fandom. It achieved a lot more love when the Game Boy Advance version and like the PSP version, like with the after years and everything came out. But man, 4 is a great game. It's a really fun game, and the story is just it's really good. I don't know. There's a few things that probably like pacing wise that both could really fix from, but I just think it's just advancements. But yeah, no. If you want a pure good, really good Final Fantasy story, I mean these 2 I think both deliver on that end. And then I'm actually going to put a wild card in here. I think Type Zero is great. I really love this game. I played the crap out of it. The HD version for the PS4 when it came out. I was like, man, like I like the vibe of it. You know, it's definitely more, I would say, heavy in like the anime territory of Final Fantasy. But man, it's enjoyable. Battle system is fun. Honestly, I feel like it's criminally underrated. It's like a gem that I want to highlight to everybody. It's on PlayStation Plus Extra. It might be on Game Pass as well. I'm not sure. But it's a lot of fun. It's shorter than most of the games that are on here. You can beat it pretty quickly. But battle system, it's a lot of fun, and I don't think enough people talk about it. It was a PSP, I think Japanese only game, and we received it over here. A lot of Easter eggs. It's a heck of a lot of fun. And I think a lot of people would really, really enjoy it. Um, let's see. We're still in the great category. That's where we're going to put the one Dissidia game that I played. We're going to put it over here. It's in great. I really, really liked that fighting game on PSP. It was a lot of fun. It was very enjoyable. There was a few things I didn't like with voice acting and stuff like that, but I thought they did a really, really good job. And there was a lot of content in that game. I do think that, I think I was really intrigued by some of the later ones, but I think I put so much time into that one that I was just kind of like burnt out. It's almost like, like you put so much time in like a Mortal Kombat, and then they're like, hey, here's the new Mortal Kombat. You're like, all right, I got to take a break in between these two. Like, I just feel like, and I feel like that's been the way since like the other Dissidias came out. Like, I've owned a couple of them, but I just haven't felt the need to really dive into it, so to speak. I did leave out one that I'm gonna put, and I've debated on like, is it gonna be bad or is it gonna be decent, or is it gonna be decent or great? I'm throwing Final Fantasy X-2 into great, and this is gonna be one of the most controversial ones, maybe. I think 13-2 is a great game. I think it's a hell of a lot of fun. And if you disassociate anything with Final Fantasy 13 from it, the beast hunting and everything like that is really cool. It's great because it doesn't have lightning in it. These characters are allowed to feed off each other. It's got a great world. I think the battle system is fantastic. It really highlights what Final Fantasy 13 could be. And it was definitely more open and fleshed out. It did suffer from, some of the things that 13 suffers from, but man, like I was pleasantly surprised like how much I thoroughly enjoyed that game. I didn't play Lightning Returns because I don't like Lightning as a character. She reminds me of somebody else. We're going to get into that here in just a few minutes. I'm trying to look at the other listings on here before we move on to possibly the incredible category. I'm not going to throw any of the Chocobo Dungeons in there or any of the like DLC stuff that you see. And unfortunately, I never have got to play 11. I really wish I could have, but it was never like in the realm of possibility for me for a long period of time. And then I'm not going to include like the little like the DS game that's here and stuff like that. Like this is mainly either mainline or I did branch off and play some of it. So we'll go into I think the incredible category next. And let's start off with Final Fantasy VII. Some people may be mad it's not a masterpiece on my list. I love Final Fantasy VII, but Final Fantasy VII has flaws, and its biggest flaw is its main character. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Final Fantasy VII Remake is an incredible game. Its biggest flaw is its main character, and its villain. Battle system in the 7 Remake is amazing. The flow in the 7 Remake is awesome. Anybody that's like, oh, it's only partial of a game, or why they flesh this out, play the game, you'll understand why. I'm not spoiling anything for you. It is what it is. It's not. It's just trust me on that. Where I tell you that it's different enough. The original 7 though I think has some of the best side quests in video games. The getting a golden chocobo through the golden saucer, getting Knights of the Round, so many great side quests between hidden characters, Vincent and Yuffie. just awesome. And its side characters are fantastic. Tifa, Barrett, Red 13. Not really a fan of Kate Sith. But man, like, there are some great side characters. And then you got Cloud, who is just, I can't stand Cloud. Like, I've never liked Cloud if he's been in Kingdom Hearts. And this is like my issue with Lightning. It's like, that's the same character. There's a difference between like a brooding character and one who just doesn't have any charisma whatsoever. And they don't have any charisma like Leon or Squall or whatever you want to call him. I like him because he's brooding, but he shows character development throughout, whereas Cloud does not show any character development. He might get some more in here in the remake. He might have a little bit more. He's got more interactions with characters that flesh him out a little bit better. But even like in Advent Children, Cloud is not a great video game character. Like, I'm just gonna tell you that. Sorry. Like, there's always these like game facts character, you know, battles, and it was like always like Link and Cloud, and I'm like, Link's more of a vessel for the player, so he really doesn't have a characterization to him. But Cloud isn't. Cloud is this, you know, very brooding character who is involved in a very convoluted story. Who isn't even who he is, right? So I don't know, but I don't want to take anything away from the incredible things that these two games have done, or at least that, you know, at least the original has done, and even remake, I think, have done for gaming. The fact that remake came out and it was as good as it was is great. Like, that's absolutely awesome. And I spent so much time in that game. And I'm going to revisit these games, and then I'm going to play Rebirth, and I'm going to love Rebirth probably as well. Staying in the incredible route, Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X is an incredible game. The sphere grid system is easily one of the best leveling systems in all of Final Fantasy. I wish they would revisit that fully. I think that is just an absolutely incredible leveling system. I think the story of 10 is pretty decent. It's not anything to, you know, go, oh wow, or anything like that. Performances wise, yeah, you got the laughing scene, and, you know, Waka, I'm not a huge fan of voice wise, you know, and surprisingly, because like I'm a huge fan of John DiMaggio, but, you know, as Bender, as Marcus Phoenix and things like that, but like, I don't know what accent he threw on that one, but he just did not deliver it right, and it just does take away a little bit. I think the side characters are really good. Lulu is cool, Auron's cool. Kamari, it's Kamari. Come on, right? And I think there's a lot of great stuff, and I think it gets lost in its messaging somewhat. I think it tries to be really too big of a story, but man, gameplay wise, sphere grid wise, and the extras, especially that you can do like in the HD version, that was imported from the international version. Oh my gosh, there's just so much fun stuff in that game. It's just absolutely crazy to me how good that game is. I've enjoyed every single time I played it, and I do think it's one of those games where the longer it gets left like without people talking about it, the more people go, oh well, it wasn't that great. But I still think it's underrated. I think that for what it was delivering, for being on the PS2, bringing Final Fantasy into a new age like that, I think it did a really, really impressive job, in my opinion. Let's see. Going through any of these else's, I think it's time for the masterpiece line. So, you may not agree, and that's fine. I'm gonna start off with a game that just absolutely surprised the hell out of me. It's gonna be a Realm Reborn. It's gonna be a Final Fantasy 14. I am not an MMO player at all, but what this game brings to the table for a Final Fantasy fan of any caliber is something that I really think everybody should at least try. I've spent only maybe 175 hours playing this game, and I've barely scratched the surface. I beat the first expansion, Heavensworn, I think that's how you pronounce it, or Heavensward, yeah, Heavensward. Heavensward was probably one of the best Final Fantasy stories ever. If you love Final Fantasy IV, you're gonna love the first expansion. And what's great is I think you can play it free up until the first expansion. There is some things that bog this game down, but it's just like that's just what MMO is. The things that bog it down are like in between your quest lines and things like that. But guess what? You can buy skip if you want to. Like you shouldn't have to, but you could, or you just power through it to get to the best content. But when that content hits, or you're doing the raids, I don't think there's a lot of things that can touch this game. And there's a reason why it's consistently one of the top played games. It's consistently one of like the most awarded games of the year. They're always like the fan base is rabid about this game, and for a reason. And I'm gonna tell you, the community is fantastic. If you ever have feared of getting into an MMO because like you're scared about how like toxic some of the communities are, and I'm not saying everybody's perfect, but my gosh, have there's just like so many helpful people. Like, if I had to complete a raid, it was just like, hey, can somebody jump in and complete a raid? Like, yeah, hey, I'll be right there. No problem whatsoever. Hey, what else do you need help with? And it's like, wow, that's so cool. Like, and like, to me, as somebody who doesn't play a lot of MMOs, that's cool. And I think that goes with how the game is carried and represented. And I think that's why there's a lot of people who are looking forward to Final Fantasy 16. Same developers are making it, right? And that's why a lot of people are looking forward to that game because you see how great 14 is. And I think 14 is just absolutely, from what it was to what they did to turn it around. My gosh, what a fantastic thing. And if you haven't played it, I think you can play it for free up until like maybe the end of the first expansion. And that is just in itself like that's some great. That's like 4 games in one. So if you need something to really sink your teeth into, yeah. Final Fantasy VI is an absolute masterpiece of a video game. Fantastic ensemble cast. Best villain in Final Fantasy, for sure. And that's what really makes this game tick, along with the battle system, the Magicite system, and anything like music. Like, we can touch upon music on Final Fantasy because Final Fantasy has some of the best music. But just, oh my gosh, the overall themes, everything about this game is memorable with playing it. And there's a reason why so many people put it on best RPG or best JRPG or best turn-based RPG of all time or just best game of all time, because it's in that conversation. No problem. I will go up to bat for that game any day. I do think it's one of those that just it'll stand the test of time. I cannot wait to replay it. I've beat that game so many times, and I still love playing it to this day. I can't wait for the Pixel Remaster version to go through that. It's like what's great is like it's the last one, so like even if I don't like going through 5 all the way through, which I'm gonna go all the way through these. That's my plan. I have 6 to look forward to at the end, and I know what I'm gonna get with 6. I'm gonna get some great comedy. With a wonderful octopus in the game, if you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to get some great story. I'm going to get scenes with Shadow, who's one of my favorite Final Fantasy characters. Scenes with Edgar and Sabin, or Sibin, whatever you want to pronounce his name. And I just can't wait. Ghost Train, like, there's just so many memorable moments in that game. And it wasn't my first Final Fantasy game, to be honest. It was something I went and revisited because I was told to. Let's go with Final Fantasy Tactics. We'll do the original one. I played War of the Lions, but I bundle them all together. Final Fantasy Tactics is a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece for a variety of reasons. The battle system itself is absolutely fantastic, but I do believe that Final Fantasy Tactics is ownership of the best story in Final Fantasy, bar none, period, with maybe a Realm Reborn stuff being pretty close to it. But Final Fantasy Tactics story with Ramza and the entire family and what twists and turns this story goes through is absolutely incredible. The way it's told in the battle, like I said, the battle system, everything just feels like it has weight to it. The secrets are absolutely incredible. You can get your favorite Cloud, you can get your favorite character Cloud in the game. But like the way you can customize everything from the weapons to the length to how much you can do, Tactics blew me away. When I first played it, I was like, what is this? I think I was like 10. I was like, what is this? And then I gave it another shot, like maybe a couple months later. And I was like, oh wow, I got to teach myself actually how to play this. Like, it's not like a straight like turn based. It's like a strategy type game. I loved it. I remember almost every detail about this game. At least the important parts, and the betrayals, the just the sheer like. And let's talk about the politics of this game and the themes. A lot of the Final Fantasy games try to have a theme to them. Final Fantasy Tactics has a theme. It rides that theme. It goes with that theme. It throws that theme in your face. It talks about some real stuff, and even some stuff that's like comparable to like what we go through now. And I think it's incredibly well written. It just, I don't know if it gets enough praise, but man, Tactics is amazing. Um, and now out of all this, we go to my favorite Final Fantasy game, and that is Final Fantasy IX. And Final Fantasy IX is a masterpiece. Um, I'd understand if you don't think it is. And if you like 7, you may not like 9. I love 9. Final Fantasy 9 is the spiritual successor of Final Fantasy 6, where tried and true story. Everybody kind of has their own thing that they do. You can't really assign like a summon or anything to anybody like that. Battle system wise, it doesn't do anything that it shouldn't do. It doesn't go too crazy. Overworld is amazing. Characters, though, are what set this apart from a lot of other Final Fantasies. I would say out of most of the cast, only like 2 of them are like where main character Zidane, Zidane, whatever you want to call him, I love him. He's so good. Princess Garnet, her arc is absolutely fantastic. Vivi, oh my gosh, right? Easily like one of the most likable characters who has such a crazy arc to him. Steiner, I love Steiner's arc. Steiner's arc is absolutely incredible. Hello, puppy. And I just absolutely love what he is able to do in the game, along with so many other characters. Freya is amazing. Like I said, that game, it holds a special place in my heart. It was not the first Final Fantasy I played. The first Final Fantasy I played was Final Fantasy VIII. But 9 holds a special, special place in my heart because it was the first one I made it all the way through, and it does have a questionable thing at the end, for sure. But Final Fantasy IX also has my absolute favorite minigame of Final Fantasy, and that's Chocobo Hot and Cold, where you can actually reward yourself with treasure and weapons and like things like that. Like some of the best weapons I think in the game are found that way. And I will also say terrible execution on the Excalibur 2 to speedrun the entire game to get the damn thing. And there's a few things in there that I'm just like, like the jump rope thing and stuff like that, especially like if you're a trophy hunter. But that's all stuff that you just throw out the window. Final Fantasy IX is a great game. If you have never played a Final Fantasy game before, Final Fantasy IX is a great way to understand where the series was at. And then it evolved into 10. And 10's been kind of like, 10 was like the last, and I think 10's going to be the last turn-based Final Fantasy you get. I think that's why you have these games like Bravely Default or Octopath Traveler. I think that's important that they're able to branch those off. But I think it's, at the end of the day, I think it's so imperative and so important. And I really think that, yeah. So that was my list. You can look at it again. Like I said, over the ones that I've played that are on here, I can't think of anything that maybe I missed. And like I said, there's some extra additions on here that really don't need to really be here. But yeah, so what do you guys think? What's your favorite Final Fantasy game? Tell me why you think 7's the greatest thing of all time, or tell me why you hate Final Fantasy 7 and why I rated it too high, or tell me what I rated too high, or anything like that. I really appreciate the support you guys are showing me. Thank you. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, whatever you got to do. Just a little button here and there. I'm hoping to bring up some more content soon, and then of course a live stream playing for the Pixel remasters. So hopefully starting in the next couple days. I'm gonna try to drop a more regular routine. But until then, thank you very much. This is Scott Cooper with Millennial Nerds. Bye.